Hello, Speedway fans, and welcome to another Speedway Chat Live right here on XSRA and XSRA.tv. I'm Ken McKinney, your producer for XSRA.tv and Extreme Speedway Action. I hope you've been enjoying all of our motorcycle coverage from right here in Southern California. It's been my pleasure to bring it to you, and it's the best racing in the world. There's some great content on my YouTube channel. That's all of our YouTube channel, in my opinion, because Speedway doesn't belong to me. It belongs to the world, and it belongs to all of you fans as well. So I appreciate everybody being subscribers, but if you have friends that don't know what Speedway is, bring them on over to the YouTube page and show them what they're missing. Maybe you can get them out to the track, meet the riders, and we need a new fan base. There's no reason why people shouldn't see this type of racing right here in Southern California. Northern California's got a track. And speaking of a couple tracks, finally, after all the track closures through the pandemic, we have some new Speedway news coming up. Finally, after 2 years, Costa Mesa Speedway, the world famous, legendary Costa Mesa Speedway, will be opening up again for Speedway racing starting this May 21st all the way through October. So summer is back in Southern California, as Brad Oxley would say. They have a whole bunch of stuff set up, but I haven't been able to talk to them yet. You want to have out more, you want to get more information, check out CostaMesaSpeedway.net. I hope I can get Rad Brad Oxley on a Speedway chat in the future to tell everyone about the new season and about returning back to racing at that legendary track where all of our world champions, world Speedway champions have come from. Another interesting track, beautiful track that's going to open will be Industry Hills Speedway. That's Kelly Inman's track. He has released something on Facebook, a brief mention that Speedway is going to return to Industry Hills. I don't know exactly a lot about that. I've checked their website, but if you want to keep up to date on that, check Kelly Inman's Facebook page and also check their website at industryexpocenter.com. And I know that Fast Fridays opened up last season. They had a very good season running all kinds of races. I know that I'm sure Dave is going to release a schedule of his 2022 Speedway season, but I haven't heard or seen anything yet. But you can stay in touch with that by checking out fastfridays.com. I hope I can get Dave on Speedway Chat Live in the future so he can tell us about all the exciting racing that's going to be happening up there. Also, another interesting event that's going to be happening in the Speedway world will be Pat Bedford. He's going to be throwing his fifth annual. Where is that? Let me find that here. He's going to be throwing his fifth annual Celebration of Speed. It's an indoor championship thing out there, all the way in the Jack Daniels territory of Tennessee. It's a good event for bringing people into the Speedway community from the West, from the East Coast. A lot of our West Coast riders will be going there. He's going to be offering it on his Facebook page for a free view for all the Speedway fans. So check him out at celebrationofspeed.net or Pat Bedford on your Facebook page. But we know how terrible this pandemic has been. Despite the pandemic being so terrible and closing so many tracks, there's been one promoter, and you know who he is. He's been able to keep Speedway fresh in California. It's Mr. Steve Evans from Paris Speedway, and the new Speedway track that he has open out there at Kern County Raceway Park. He's got so many things going on, and we're going to bring him in and talk to him about. We're also going to talk to Chris the Tiger Kerr. He's a former United States U.S. Open Speedway champion from 2012, and he's returned back to racing. He's really having a good turnout. He's going to be competing this week, next weekend on the 19th out at Kern County Raceway Park. And let's bring in Steve Evans to talk a little bit about, a lot of it about what's happening out at Kern County on the 19th. Tell us, Steve. How you doing?
Well, I'm doing good. How are you?
We're doing all right. You know, it's California. It's going to be 90 degrees today. It's a Sunday before the Super Bowl.
Yeah, terrible.
Terrible. Well, you could be in England. It'd be rainy and we'd be happy.
Indeed. Let's check. Let's just go off script here. The weather in Wolverhampton right now is it's 45 degrees. It's pretty good. But
that's good. Okay.
If you see the forecast through the week, you see a lot of rain. See
rain. Well, you know, we could use that here in California, but I don't want to see any rain until we're done with the next Saturday's event. Tell us a little bit about what's going to be going on at Kern County Raceway Park for the AMA National Speedway Pairs Championship.
Yeah, well, it's the fourth year we've staged this event. It produces absolutely breathtaking racing. You've got a great clip on your YouTube page of last year's main event, and it's one of the. It's a stunner. Last year's main event, you had two-time champions Luke and Brock against the Rummel brothers, also two-time champions in this. And it was outstanding because Max managed to get past Luke at the end of lap one and not only got by him, took him wide enough where Dylan could slot underneath. And at that point in time, for about a lap and a half, they were going to win the championship. And then on lap 3, Luke gets the most ridiculous drive coming out of turn 2, passes both Rummels, and then dives to the inside and just pins the bike on the pole. And at that point, it's a Brock Luke 1-2, and the championship is won. But it was, it takes 4 to make a race like that. It isn't just Luke and Brock as the winning team. The losing team brought their game.
Yeah,
so that's what this is all about. And we have a pretty stellar lineup.
Now I know the lineup is going to include Brock and Luke for a third time, where they're going to try to go for their third consecutive championship there. But I understand that Max is going to be teaming with somebody else. Him and Dylan are not going to be paired up in this event. Tell us a little bit about that, because this is big news.
Yeah, it's the most devastating surprise breakup since the Spice Girls, actually. But no, seriously, Max loves racing with his brother and vice versa. They do. They have incredible team chemistry. They look out for each other. Now, of course, Max wants to win his third number 1 plate at this. And at the point where entries opened, Dylan was seemingly going to already be in Europe next weekend, getting ready for his new season with the Oxford Cheetahs. Yeah. So Max scouted potential available riders and quickly linked up with Chris Kerr, which was a very smart move. I'm not just saying this because Chris is waiting to come on, but Chris has done several seasons in the British League, and it's fair to say that though he's, I guess, semi-retired as a rider right now, he's been racing more last year since Bakersfield Open, which is great, but Chris doesn't ride full-time, but he's always raced the pairs.
He's still formidable.
He's come close to winning it on more than one occasion. So, So Max chose wisely. Chris is a threat any night. I guarantee next Saturday he's going to raise his game to even higher levels because he wants to win a national championship.
Yeah, I seen him race. When he came back, I was surprised. I seen him race at Costa Mesa a couple times in the past, but then when he came out and raced at Kern County, he liked that track, and I think it likes him too. But tell us about some. So Max is going to be paired up with Chris. What's going on with Dylan? Who's he going to be with?
Well, Dylan, of course, when we found out he wasn't going to Europe, he's obviously going to be very in demand. You can see the difference in him as a rider from half a season in England.
Oh, he's been doing great.
He's been on a whole new level since he came back. And again, he's a contender to win next weekend. And he's going to be paired up with Aaron Fox. And,
which is another great rider.
Aaron's got 2 national championships under his belt. And I think there's a certain chemistry when Aaron finds the track to his liking, and this can be anywhere. When Aaron's bike and track and self are kind of in harmony, he can be pretty unbeatable. So, he's a dark horse because he hasn't won a main event yet at Kern County Raceway, but he's come close. And
he's hungry.
And he's not showing up, just to get on the podium. Like these guys, they want to win this.
Well, yeah, that's why you go there to win. I mean, I know I talked to a lot of these riders, and they might finish in the third and fourth and fifth, but they're still competitive. They're like next time, that's racing. And so they bring it every time. They don't just go there to finish in last place. But tell us about some of the other great teams that we're going to see.
Well, we've got an exciting team I like is Rhett and Todd and Alex Martin. They both improve every time they hit the track. And Alex has a practice track at his home. Yes. And he and Rhetten were out there last weekend, and they posted some video, and they were practicing side-by-side team riding. So that was great. Then Eddie Castro, who's been to England with the Dream Team on, I think, 5 occasions. Yes. He's going to be with Reese Todd.
That's going to be a good team.
For sure. We have Team Sweden, which is Wilbur Hancock and Fred Cook. Both of them have champion Speedway legend American fathers, and both of them have Swedish mothers and grew up in Sweden. So they're going to be wearing the Swedish flag. We don't want them to get too used to it, but that's going to be a fun pairing. Greg Moore, who is a rising Northern California rider, is going to be paired with Dustin.
He's doing good. Yeah, he's starting to rise. He's only 19. He's getting in there.
Right. Then speaking of young upcoming talent, we've got Johnny Oakton and Sarah Cords.
Yes.
We were going to have the Dion brothers, Anthony and Timmy, but Timmy has an injury, so Anthony's scouring around for a replacement. He's got a couple of options, which I'll probably know his likely direction come Monday. We also have the Sauer brothers, the local Bakersfield legends of Brad and Robbie Sauer.
Bakersfield's favorite sons.
Yeah. And we have we've got 2 late entries. One of them is really the Comeback Kings. We got Randy DeFrancesco, also a local Bakersfield rider, and Buck Blair. And of course,
Blair.
That's really exciting. If you've been watching Supercross this year and watching the features, Randy's son Ryder is literally in a league of his own on the 250 Supercross Futures class, and I believe in 2023 he'll be racing AMA Supercross on a 250. So he's got a massive future, but let's not forget the old man's a bit talented as well.
Yeah, so, Buck Blair, one of the most exciting racers I've seen in the 90s. In the 2000s. Gosh, that guy was always bringing it. He's very, very good rider. I'm going to be glad to see him out there racing again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And who else? I mean, you have a special announcement. Bring it on. Yeah,
there's 12 teams entered in this event, which is a lot. But we have we're fine-tuning our race format, which we should have nailed down over the weekend, and it's going to make it very exciting for everyone. But the hot news and the secret that we've been sat on for the last few weeks is there's going to be an overseas team coming in from Poland. It's going to feature 2 riders from Sparta Wrocław, which is the 2021 Polish League champions. And
fantastic. Yeah. And I mean, who is their coach again?
Well, the team coach is Greg Hancock. And of course the team had a phenomenal year. I think they only lost 2 matches all season, and Greg was hired as a coach, and I think made a massive difference because there's so much fine tuning that somebody that's done what he does can do with these riders.
But you told me that they went from almost a last place team to a championship team under his direction, right?
Well, I'm not sure where they were the previous season, to be honest, but they won the title last year, which speaks for itself. And so 2 of their young riders who were on the team last year are flying in next week, and they're going to spend a week or so with Greg doing really a pre-season training camp and testing and fitness and other things with him. And part of the deal, so to speak, is they're going to come and race for the AMA Championship next weekend in Bakersfield. And the riders are Gleb Chuganov, who has raced in 4 Speedway Grand Prix as a wild card, has done well in every one. And he's a 2-time World Speedway champion because he was part of the Russian team for the 2018 2019 Speedway of Nations.
Well, that certainly adds a different flavor to this race coming up on the 19th. That I mean, you have some foreign riders coming in. They might take the title back to Poland.
And if they do, they do. I mean, we need to be enhancing American Speedway. And it's fair to say that, riders only develop so much by racing the same riders on the same tracks time and time again. So we've been doing a lot of work behind the scenes to bring in overseas and world riders. And you can expect that this is the first of many times that we'll be doing something like this.
And I just put a picture up here. That's Greg and who?
That's
Gleb?
Greg. And let me just get back onto the screen because I was just finding. That's Greg. That's Gleb on the left. Gleb is also a musician and rapper and has a following for his music. So maybe we'll have him do the halftime show. I don't know. We'll have him rap to us in Polish or Russian, and hopefully, hopefully he's not cursing us Brits and Americans. But we'll just let him have the mic.
Hey, we'll never know, right?
Yeah, exactly. He's going to be partnered with a rider called Michael Kurzitek, who was part of the championship-winning team. He's a 19-year-old up-and-coming Polish rider. Hopefully, maybe in the future they would bring the whole team out because that would be great. Because their teammates include current world champion Artem Laguta.
Oh my!
3-time world champion Ty Woffenden.
Oh my!
Speedway World Cup winner Magic Janoski. And and a British rider who's going to be first reserve in the GP series this year called Dan Bewley, Dan was part of the success story of the team last year because Dan took it to another level. And of course, the first thing that Dan said when he took it to that other level was, it's down to Greg Hancock helping with us. That's made a difference.
Right. I did see all those names racing in GP last year over in Europe. And if people don't know, you can watch Speedway GP, and that's what it's all about. That's what we're training. Well, that's what the guys train here to eventually go and do, right, Steve?
Yeah, I mean, these two in particular, they're part of. Polish Speedway is a different level to anywhere else. The American riders tend to want to go to the British League first because that has the quantity of matches. You race more in England, but an English team, you don't train as a team unless you and a teammate, decide to go to the gym with each other. You basically show up on race day and you have a team manager and staff who are like volunteers and you race. That's the British League. Whereas in Poland, the teams have full-time staff. Like they have trainers, they have physios, they have sports psychologists, they have
sports psychologists
that are hired by the team. They have nutritionists that every attention to detail is paid. And it's not just having a fast bike or being able to be a good starter, though those things help. There's so many like little pieces that go into being a world champion.
Right. I have seen on Brock Nichols' Facebook page him training, him doing a lot of things to keep himself in condition. So it must have been something that he learned while he was over racing in Europe that gave him the inspiration to keep himself in shape, not just on the bike, but off the bike to keep his wind.
Yeah, for sure. And of course, these riders are coming over from Poland and they're going to entertain and thrill us next weekend. It's going to be absolutely sensational to have them. But they're coming because the weather conditions over here are better for preseason preparation than Poland. They've sent 2 of their rising stars who are getting better. And there was someone on Facebook said today, it'd be great if they could race on a big track. But, when they're in America. But firstly, we don't really have one like Poland. And secondly, these guys are coming to learn. They're going to learn more racing Bakersfield than they would if they were on Ventura.
Yeah, and you and Larry have really done a great job out at that track out there. It's really close to what Costa Mesa Speedway's track is like. It's beautiful. It's kind of bowled out on the side. But that is next Saturday. That is Saturday, February 19th out at Kern County Raceway Park, the AMA Speedway Pairs National Championship for 2022. Brock and Luke are going to go for the 3rd consecutive win. But now with these new riders coming in from Poland, plus Chris Kerr and Max Rummel, and then Dylan Rummel and who else? Oh yeah, and Aaron Fox. This is really turning this event on its head. I think it's going to really make it for exciting racing. But if you can't make it out there, we're going to stream it on XSRA.tv. And I'll be putting that advertisement up soon. But that's great information, Steve. I appreciate, you telling me and telling everybody about that. I'm looking forward to it. I'm sure everybody else is too. But you did say something about Chris Kerr, and I did introduce him as we were going to talk to him. He's standing by right now. I'm going to bring you in, Chris. I'm going to give you a little bit of an introduction so people can know who you are. Here, I'm bringing in Chris Kerr. There you are. Hey, Chris, how are you?
No, I'm doing great. How are you guys?
Very, very good. Hold on. Let me do something here. Let me bring up your bio that I got off of speedwaybikes.com. There you are. If anybody doesn't know this guy, this is Chris Kerr, Chris the Tiger Kerr. He's a Speedway world champion. I mean, a Speedway champion of his own, 2012 U.S. Open Speedway champion. He's a professional Speedway racer who's been racing since the tender age of 8 years old when he started as a junior in 1992, and he's raced just about every track in the nation. He has numerous titles, and he's also raced in the United Kingdom. That's England, for all you people that don't know what that is. And he's raced for 16 different teams overseas, which I think is a lot. He lives in Auburn, California. It looks nice and sunny up there. Chris, how you doing? Tell us how you're doing.
No, I'm doing great. Just doing a little work around the house today and working on the bike as well, getting it ready for next weekend. So well, I'm ready for it.
Yeah, we're looking forward to you coming out and teaming up with Max. I think that's going to add a lot of a different flavor to the racing. Breaking up the Rummel brothers is an interesting thing to happen, because they're always paired up. But have you and Max talked about anything, or are you just going to get out there and run it?
There's not a whole lot to talk about necessarily ahead of time. We both know each other well and how each other race, and we've both done team racing. Max is a great team rider. He's shown that. So I mean, I'm excited to ride with him for sure. I didn't realize Blake wasn't riding until Max had called me. But yeah, Blake has other things that he's got to do that weekend, so he can't make it. So yeah. I definitely jumped on that opportunity to ride with Max, and he's kind of one of the best partners you could have right now. He's kind of winning everything, and he's fast, so he'll be there to win, and I just gotta do my part and try and win some races myself.
Well, you've been racing a long time, and what do you think about returning back to the track? How's that happened? I mean, we get the new track up in Kern County. Was that what interested you to just get back out on the track? How did that happen?
I mean, I've kind of just picked a few races here and there because I'm never going to stop riding, but I can't justify racing on a week-to-week basis. I can't risk getting hurt necessarily, and I also just stopped having fun for a little bit there. So I pick and choose when I want to race. That way I'm keeping it fun still. And I was doing probably 3 or 4 races a year. I think kind of up until last year, it was probably the most that I had raced. Yeah. And once I saw the Bakersfield track and kind of the shape of it, and then once I went down there, I was definitely excited to see how the track was shaping up. And it's definitely one of the best racetracks that we have, as far as racing lines and the racing that it can produce. I'm excited to see a big race at that track with a full lineup. I think it's going to produce some awesome racing, and I think everyone's going to be fast, and it's going to be fun. That's what I look forward to, those kind of races. That's what I enjoy. I enjoy the competition, and the more that I got to push myself, the more my adrenaline gets going, and the more fun it is. So
yeah, with Max being the new national champion, that adds a little bit of flavor not having Billy there all the time. And Billy's so dominant. It's just so different now having somebody carrying that title, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean it's bound to happen. I mean it's hard to stay on top of your game for a long time. And Billy held that title for quite a while. And it's good to see some younger blood mixing it up. And Max definitely, he earned it, and he's been riding really well, and he's fast. So I think Billy had a little bit of an off year last year, and we'll see what he brings back next year. But yeah, it's hard to be on your game all the time, and the kids are just starting to get faster. So it's good to see. It's good for the sport, I think.
Speaking of kids getting faster, out at the North American Finals, that Eric Martin, he really did have a good race against you in that one heat, didn't he?
He did. He definitely surprised me. He probably didn't surprise himself. I hope he has those expectations of himself to go out and do that every time.
The tape was up, and Chris Kerr had a great start to take the lead out of turn 2, but it was Alex Martin using the outside to do something amazing as he overtook Russell Green and passed Chris Kerr going into lap 2 for the lead.
Alex Martin! Oh, coming through, he takes the lead. Alex Martin, 250 Youth National Speedway Champion. 17 years old. From Salinas, California, passes up Tiger Chris Kerr, who's running in second right now with 1 lap left to go. We got a battle for third between the Rocket Russell Green and 399 of Rhett Todd. Rhett Todd on the inside. Todd moves up into third. Oh my gosh, Alex Martin shocking the world tonight. He gets the win. Kerr in second.
What about that race? I mean, he got around you and then he stayed on the faster part of the track. Was that a surprise to you? You said it was.
Yeah, the track caught me out. It shouldn't have caught me out because I know better. They watered right before that race, and there was a decent blue groove down low, and you can't throw water on a blue groove. It just kind of turns to ice. And so I knew better than that to try and stay low. Because I had a good start. I just made the wrong racing line choice, and he was out there, and that was the only line to be on in that race. And he rode it well, because even once I got on the right line, I couldn't really catch him. So he was going plenty fast.
One more lap.
I was kicking myself. Yeah, I don't know. He was. I wasn't catching him as quick as I thought I was going to, but. So I was kicking myself after that race, but it's racing. I mean, he made the right choice, and he obviously he's shown he's got some speed. So it's promising because he's young. He's still got a lot of time. And he's got a lot to learn. But I think he shows a lot of promise.
Yeah. This year, Chris, you're going to have a different Paris track for the American final, because we did that testing session a couple of weeks ago with this new piece of equipment they've got. So the Paris track has tended to be, it's never ideal, but having it packed down is kind of a conservative, safe way to do it. And racing was good, all considered, but it's a true fact that there aren't the lines that we could have on that track. But with this new Harrow that we've got, we're going to run that on the race on the 26th. We're going to use it for the race the first time, and by the time the American final comes around, we're going to give you so many race lines that if you're faster than Alex Martin, he won't know what hit him. But bear in mind, Alex Martin is going to have another 10 months of racing, so he might be winning. He might be winning the whole thing by then, the way he's going. So who knows?
Yeah, exactly. I'm looking forward to that. I saw those practice videos, and they use a lot of the tracks in Europe use a similar piece of equipment, and it definitely helps the track, gives you a little bit more dirt to work with, but it also makes it consistent, which is important. Like it's one thing to have dirt, but you got to have it consistent so you can safely race it. But yeah, it looks like it's gonna be amazing. So I'm looking forward to that too.
Yeah, I was out there and I saw that new piece of equipment that Steve was talking about, and it seems to be able to break up the lines and give you some kind of fresh track after the grooming. It doesn't just pack it down. It seems to fluff it up. And I talked to I talked to Aaron Fox, and he said he loved it. He thought it was just wonderful. So
Yeah, it's definitely going to help out with racing line choices there, and I think you'll see a little separation at first probably between the faster guys who know how to utilize that. But it's great because that's how most European tracks race. You end up chasing the dirt line, and when there is no dirt, it's not really teaching the guys necessarily what speedway is like overseas. So it'll be nice to have that and everyone to kind of get used to it and learn how to ride on those tracks, because that's really what's going to make you faster.
So speaking of racing overseas, tell us some of the teams that you were able to race on over there, and give us a little bit of one of your most memorable races.
I mean, there's a lot of memorable races. I started with Red Car Bears. Rode for them for 3 seasons, up towards the north of England, in the what was the Premier League, which is kind of the second division over there. And at the same time, I was paired with my parent club was Wolverhampton in the Elite League in the top division. So I kind of doubled up with them for a few years, and we did end up winning the title in 2009. So the Wolves won the Elite League title. So it was cool to be a part of that. I didn't contribute as much as I would have hoped I could have, but I scored points in the races, and so I did do some of my part. But it was a really cool experience, and not a lot of riders can say that they've been on a team that's won an Elite League title. So it was cool to be able to win that. And then I just being a part of the Speedway World Cup team and doing the GP qualifiers representing America. All of those are memorable races, and most of those were all in a foreign country. So raced in Italy a few times, Hungary and Czech, and Latvia. So it was fun getting to race those and represent America in those races. So those ones are probably the most memorable, really.
Did you consider that you would be going over to Europe to race when you first started out?
No, not when I first started. Baseball was kind of always my big thing. Then I raced for fun in between, and so everything was kind of fun. But baseball was always like my main focus, and then that shifted right when I was getting ready to kind of move up into the 500s, and then I started putting more focus into Speedway. And it wasn't until probably when I was 17 or so that I really started taking it serious, 17, 18, that I started taking it more serious and put more focus into Speedway and trying to put the effort in that's needed to improve and start looking to get over there. And it was great timing for the first Speedway, the Dream Team that Steve did. It was kind of perfect timing because I was also going over there to represent America in the under 21. So right before I went to my under 21 race, we did the Dream Team, which gave me a lot of exposure in England, which allowed me really to get a spot the next year. And then I did fairly well in that first race of the under 21. I ended up 4th in that race, qualifying for the semifinals. So it was cool. It was a good experience, but I didn't think necessarily until later on, until, like I said, 18 years old, probably, before I really started taking it serious and thinking that I could do it.
Well, Steve, ask him a few questions about racing over in Europe that you would know about.
Do you miss the Balti nights?
Oh yeah, of course. You're not going to find an Indian restaurant in California that's anything like that.
It's
so
not
most
there
definitely.
Anymore. Unfortunately, it's not there anymore. I don't think so.
No, that's unfortunate.
I think.
But yeah,
I think once you move back here, their business tanked, and that was that.
It did. It did. Yeah. Every Monday night, we used to bring a whole crowd of people.
Yeah. So here's a question. So you won the championship with Wolves in 2009, and it timed in great because we'd literally flown in that same day of the first leg with the Dream Team. We'd flown in the same day, and we're all at the track like jet lagged and whatever. And I know you said earlier that your contribution, maybe you could have done more, but you actually won Heat 2 that night, and that kind of, from there on, the team built up an unexpected lead, which really carried them through the championship. So every race and every point counts. And I think I think you winning Heat 2 kind of woke us all up, because we were against a very tough Swindon team, and and that kind of got the ball rolling. Now, the following year, you were racing with Birmingham and Wolverhampton, and like the whole season just started amazingly for both clubs. You were banging the points in. You'd certainly taken it to a new level, and then you broke your leg and a big injury hit. So at what point did you know that was it for your British league? Because you're on the crest of your form. You were breaking through to being really a potential number one rider for Birmingham and a top 4 or 5 for Wolves.
Yeah, it wasn't really until the end of the season. I mean, I held out hopes. That injury took longer. I'd broken my leg towards the beginning of my British career over there. 2008, I broke my other leg, and I was out for about 3 months. But that one with Birmingham, I was out for about 4 months before I could really get back on a bike and give it a go. And even then, I still kind of pushed it a little too early. But yeah, I had all intentions of going back and trying to do more, because like you said, that was the best that I had ridden over the 5 years that I'd been there. That's the best I had ridden. That at that time, I think I had an 8-point average in the Elite League with the meetings I had. Most of those were home meetings, but still, I had a good average. I had a good average for Birmingham as well. But the way that they restructured the points that year going into the winter, I didn't get enough meetings in before I broke my leg that technically I should have been on my starting average, which was a lot lower compared to what my average was going to be. Normally it was 12 meetings you had to do. I did 11. So going into next year, I should have started on a lower average, and I would have been would have had a better pick of which team I could go to, because I would have been more appealing to the teams on the average that I was on. But they went and changed those rules, and so I didn't get any offers worth going back for. I was kind of at that point. Yes, it was like the best I had started out the season, the best I had been doing, but at the same time, I had been there for 5 years and I hadn't got to where I would have liked to have been, and so it was just, I didn't have an offer that was worth going back for. So it was just like it's just time to get back to the real world. So yeah. And not so yeah. So it was. Sorry, I got somebody pulled up. Dogs are letting them know that they shouldn't be here.
Good dog. Yeah. I suppose when you know. Sometimes with Speedway.
Well, that's great. I mean, yeah, continue to go on. I mean, I wanted to ask you another question to follow up, but go on that.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah. So it was time for me to come home. It takes a lot over there. A lot of backing is really what I was missing. Because in order to really progress, like England is really good, and you need to be in England. But I needed to get into Poland. I needed to get into Sweden. That's where you really start progressing. And that's where also where the more money is in those other countries. So I didn't have the backing to be able to do that, because you got to have equipment in all those countries. Really, you're not going to drive from England to Poland every week to race. That's not going to happen. So you need to have 2 bikes in Poland, and then it is possible to have bikes in Poland and have people drive to Sweden, but you got to have a full-time mechanic to do it. So it's just a lot of expense that I didn't have at the time. There's no way I could get that equipment and get it over there. So I had talked to a few clubs, but a lot of it just came down to money in order to get that opportunity. Because I think Greg had offered to try and help me out in Sweden, but I didn't have the money to kind of get started over there to get the equipment I needed for him to kind of help. So it definitely it's tough if you don't have good backing. And Luke and Brock both have great sponsorship that have helped them and allowed them to continue to grow. And not only have they grown well over there and had that backing, but they're getting more sponsors that are helping them, and they're making money to also help because they're riding really well. So it kind of, you get a snowball effect going once you have backing, and you can kind of get that momentum going. But it's just getting that started is the hard part. So for any Americans going over, that's really the biggest hurdle is backing.
Yeah, I wanted to follow that up with the modern age now, with the computers, social media, with the ability to do, FaceTime, with the ability for people to see more video coverage of you. That probably lends to a lot more support than you had at the time. And you're just talking in the 2000s, but now we're in 2022. And the technology is off the hook on how to be able to stay in touch with a rider and how to support the rider, how the rider can ask for support. What do you think about that?
Oh yeah, the ease of money transfer and everything nowadays compared to what it was when I was there. When I was there, I mean, trying to transfer money back and forth was literally like a wire transfer. It's like through the bank. You had to go to the bank and fill out the paperwork, and it wasn't straightforward. And same with like making phone calls. I had a pay as you go phone, so I would load so much money on it every time, and that was for international calling. So I had a SIM card just for international calling. And so whereas now you can use whatever phone. You can communicate through Facebook and WhatsApp and all these other apps. It's just a lot easier. So it wasn't too bad when I was there. I mean, I was still able to communicate just fine for the most part. But as far as like the ease of communication, the ease for people to follow me was a little bit different than what it is now. Yeah. And then the ease to try and raise money and get support from people is a lot easier now.
Yeah.
Than it was then.
Yeah, but you still, even though we have a little bit more ease of technology, you still have to race all those different tracks. You still have to travel around. That hasn't changed, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, if anything, I think it's slowed down a little bit. Unfortunately, there's quite a few clubs that have closed down in England. So the structure of the racing over there is definitely different than it was when I was there. When I was there, it was still pretty busy. There was a lot of elite league teams. There was a lot of Premier League teams. So there was a lot of racing when I was there, and I think it's slowed down a little bit because unfortunately some of the clubs have closed down. But still, yeah, you gotta get to all the tracks. Finding the tracks actually nowadays is a lot easier than it was then. I mean, I a lot of times I had an actual map the first year I started over there and was actually reading the map to find the tracks, and then eventually then we got a GPS that we could put in there and follow and let us know where all the speed cameras were, so we could speed around until we could hit a camera and slow down and then take off again. So
well, that's great. That's great. I know that a lot of people are looking forward to seeing you come on out and pair up with Max Rummel this next weekend at Kern County Raceway Park for the AMA National Speedway Pairs. I think you guys have a good chance of upsetting a lot of the racing going on out there, and looking forward to seeing you out there.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it as well. So I gotta get myself as ready as I can. So there's not a whole lot of options practice track wise up here. So I was able to get on the bike a little bit last weekend, but the only thing for me to do is just do a little bit of working out and work on my mindset, make sure my mind is right and my body's right.
Very good. Well,
I've been on the bike long enough that my body kind of remembers what to do.
Very good. It's a muscle memory then, eh?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, muscle memory, and just I'm confident in what I can do. It's a little different when I don't race all the time. I do feel that's where I lack a little bit, is in my split-second decisions on the racetrack. That's only something you get on the track. And what lines you pick, like in that race with Alex, or when somebody makes a pass or you're making a pass, like you got split-second decisions you got to make, and unless you're racing, it's hard to stay sharp. But I'll be as ready as I can be, and I'll definitely bring my game. And we're going to win. We don't go to get second place. So
there you go.
So, yeah, it'll be fun. Looking forward to it.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for joining us here on Speedway Chat Live. We'll see you over there in the at the Kern County Raceway Park's dirt track. And everybody, if you cannot make the track, you can watch them on XSRAtv. We'll be streaming that live for you, and looking forward to seeing you out there, Chris. I'll see you out at the track. Thank you.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. And I appreciate the opportunity to come on here and talk. You do a great job representing Speedway for us, and I appreciate all the content that you put out.
Hey,
So
it's all you
likewise,
guys.
Steve. Yeah, you wouldn't have much content to put out if you didn't have a track to go to. So I appreciate that as well, Steve.
Well,
No problem, Chris.
Steve is
you've
all
been with me since day one, pretty much. So
yeah, pretty much.
yeah, all the props to Steve. You know, I wouldn't have anything to put up if the man wasn't running tracks. And looking forward to 2022 with other tracks opening up and getting fans back out to the tracks as well. You know, it's the big thing. We need more fans. We need new generation of people understanding that this is some of the best racing they'll ever see in the world. So thank you very much.
Yeah.
All right. We'll see you in a week. We'll see you in a week on the top of the podium. Okay.
That's the plan. We'll be there.
Very good. All right. Bye, Chris.
All right. We'll see you. Thank you.
Bye.
Great.
Fantastic. He's such a nice guy, you know, and I run around and I do what I do and stuff. And whenever I come up with him and he hadn't even really known me yet, and I put a camera in front of his face and ask him a question, he's just kind and gives a really good answers to questions and explains what he felt about the race. It's really, really nice to have a guy out there doing stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, Chris is definitely, you know, there's a whole batch of riders from the early 2000s, early to mid 2000s, who are really the pioneers of what we have today. Like guys like Chris Kerr, Sean Harmatuck, the Ficini brothers, you know, lots of these guys.
Buck Blair.
Lots of these guys don't race now, but they came on the original Dream Team tours, and it's fair to say that they blazed the trail because
I agree.
Because there was plenty that we did wrong initially that you learn from and improve to make better. So what we have today, both at our events and with Team USA, a lot of it's down to these guys like Chris and Harmatuck and Ficini's and others that were just there being our guinea pigs back in the day.
Well, you know, you've really done a lot to propel American Speedway and to keep it going through this pandemic. And I appreciate it as a Speedway fan and a promoter or what I'd say a person that likes to give the publicity to the sport in a way that would try to bring the fans to the track, because you know, seeing it on the video is not like being there and having that roar of the engines go through your body and smelling the track and being there with the crowd. You know, that's the best way to be. So I encourage everybody to get out to the AMA National Speedway Pairs Championship Saturday, February 19th, 2022, starting at 5 p.m. We will be, XSRAtv will be streaming from there. So I'll be putting up some information about that. We're going to have a team from Poland, all the way from Poland, loving the weather here in Southern California and making everybody over there jealous that they be over here in the sunshine. And it's just going to be a wonderful event. And I'm looking forward to being there. How about you? Oh, you're holding it.
Yeah, I suppose I'm going to come this time. Yeah. No, it's going to be a great race. I mean, the pairs racing format, it's something different. One thing as a promoter is I really take seriously entertainment and putting on different forms of speedway racing. It's a bit like an art form. And, you know, you don't want to, if you go to a concert, you don't want to, and you've got a favorite band, you don't want to hear the same set list every year. So with my speedway races, I'm always looking to vary and mix up the formats and make it exciting for the people racing and make it edge of your seat for the people watching, because when we're selling the same riders week in, week out, we need to not just roll the same old stale race format every single week.
Yeah, and it can get kind of stale. And I'm going to be working with Sarah Cords on some different components for to tell people about what the different types of racing are. You know, the scratch racing that we're used to in America is one thing, but when you hold when you're holding the teams, I like the teams. I think it totally is interesting. And if they can continue to racing as the same combined team over and over again through the series, there's a lot of challenges there. You know, Speedways, you also have the Olympic format, and you have the scratch racing, you have the handicap, which needs to be explained to people and why it's done that way, but it just makes it more entertaining, and it gives those other riders, as you and I discussed, the lower riders, the ability to at least try to compete with some of those faster guys.
Yeah, I mean, in England back in the day when I was living there, we got a speedway at Wolverhampton every Monday night, and there were 11 teams in the league, and you cycled through twice during the season, so you get to see each team at home twice. So every week you get a different set of opposing riders that was there the previous week, and they generally had a contender on the team, a world championship contender, and you'd show up to watch the different riders on the other team. In America, we have to constantly sell the same group of riders, as talented and exciting as they are. It's kind of, I think it's ideal to have them race in different styles of speedway with each other week in, week out.
The different styles adds a lot of flavor to it.
Yeah, just my opinion for whatever I know. Hey,
I'm a fan and I appreciate it as well. So, all right, everybody. Thank you, Steve, for joining me here on Extreme Speedway Action, XSRA.tv's Speedway Chat Live. We'll see you out at Kern County Raceway Park on February 19th at 5 p.m. The racing starts then. And if you can't make it to the track, bring the track to you. All right. Thank you, Steve. We'll see you later.
Thanks, Ken. Appreciate it. And we'll see you at the track next week to watch the Best in America race, two of the best up-and-comers in the world.
That's right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye now.